already seen work of the masters, work of Michelangelo and people like that. So why insist in doing that? They're trying to invent a new language. And if we can do a program later on Cubism, I'll talk to you about how the whole thing started, the whole modern art bit. Although nothing happens from one day to the other or from one painter to the other, but I believe that Cubism was very influential in the history of art, the modern art movement. It's really what started to set the trend for getting away from what one sees to what one feels. And now, using this screen instantly reminds me of the likes of Matisse and Picasso, who obviously took off from here. They were working at the same time, but if you see some of Matisse's work, he uses bold patches of colours like bright green and red and more concerned with the colour itself than what the colour is trying to depict. I've had a feel for a bright yellow. I don't know why, but it could be, again, it could be an interpretation of the actual gospel. You know, the divine spirit, the Holy Spirit could be bright yellow. Which is, again, brings me back to the topic of Expressionism. You want to express something as ephemeral as the Holy Spirit, which really nobody knows how it physically looks. Well, use colour, and even the strokes. You see that already could be like a ray of sunshine or light coming up from above. So that is Expressionism. You don't see that in life, but it's already a hint at something divine coming up from above. And again, time, I'm doing this really quickly for the camera's sake. But obviously that worked out properly. And maybe even have a bit of yellow there. I don't know, it's sort of added to the fleshy bit. I'll fade it in now with the rest of the colour. But it's as if the light is shining on Christ's right hand shoulder. And sin miedo. No fear. And now using a touch of black. Very quickly give the idea of thorns. I don't know whether it's working or not, but quickly. Yeah, it's okay. Now back to the hair and start defining the figure a bit more with the black, but always thick brush, quickly applied, more like drawing than painting. Define shapes and areas clearly. As you can see, the face is now coming right out of the painting. See if I can get a brushy effect for the beard. Yeah, that seems to work. Again, the brush can be used in different ways. Quick staccato strikes like that. You get like a beard effect or hair effect. A bit on the tash. Yeah. Carry on that effect. A touch of white for highlights. Now back to the black. I want to push that back. Let's carry on defining the. See, I'm an expressionist painter. I think I am. I can clearly define, although I do abstract work, but my painting intention is always to express my feeling before anything else. I mean, I agree technique is necessary and drawing, and I try and better my drawing, but I always feel it's more important to get the feeling down than getting, because at the end of the day everyone can draw. It's something you learn how to do, but expressing your feelings is something completely different. But at the end of the day, I do like anatomy. So when I do get the chance to paint a body, I tend to exaggerate. And that brings me to a painter, and I don't know whether anybody's actually mentioned this before. I think I've read it somewhere. That was probably one of the first expressionists. And no one I think probably agrees with me or has thought about it. But that was El Greco. El Greco was a painter that they said they had some sort of a sight problem or whatever, but all his figures, although anatomically quite correct, they were always exaggerated, elongated, and I tend to do the same in my life drawing. I overdo it and exaggerate forms. But there's nothing wrong with that. You know, at the end of the day, if the form is in the right direction, as it were, then the exaggeration doesn't really spoil it. What you can't do is exaggerate in the wrong direction or without always remembering where the form is. As long as you're truthful to the form, stretching a figure out to the limits can even add to it. Well, it actually does add to it. See, now by doing this outline, I'm straying completely away from classical painting. Now I'm being really expressionist. I'm over signaling the form, and this is not what you would see. You don't normally see a black outline unless it's a caricature. You don't see black outlines around a shape. I mean, the form always goes round, so there wouldn't be. And I mean, teachers used to say in school, don't do the black outline or whatever. I don't believe in any rule. You can do whatever you want if there's a reason for it. I know my wife doesn't like me using black, and she doesn't like my sense of colour. Neither does my mother-in-law, for that matter. But anyway, it's colours that I feel strongly about. We're getting close now to the program. Obviously, I haven't been able to rather finish the whole painting. That's, you know, we've been painting, half an hour now. But I hate to waste paint, and there's quite a bit of white here, which really is appropriate for this bit. So I'll just use it up, and then I'm going to give it the finishing touch, which is what I want to say with this painting. And I mean, these are just folds, so really very quickly just cover the area up. And that should stand up for the body. It was too similar in colour. Obviously the colours have mixed. This painting is by no means finished. I would need 2 or 3 sessions to really finish it. But anyway, my piece de resistance now, and I like to do what I preach. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to give it a touch of you know, violent blood, as it were, streaming down the forehead. And just, you know, even if it means ruining the painting, at the end of the day, because it's an expressionist painting, what I want to portray is precisely that. And blood in a painting like this is important.